What's good and welcome everybody. It's your boy vexyz, the lurking legend. Y'all can just call me Vex. I'm so happy to be here again with the Last Arc crew. We have a wonderful stream planned for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the One Piece chapter that just dropped, 1118. If you haven't checked it out already, there will be spoilers. Make sure that we want to go ahead and start by saying thank you all for being here. We love you. Y'all are goated. If you're catching us live, leave some love in the chat. If you're catching the VOD, leave a little comment. Make sure you guys like these stream. Check out all the wonderful links in the description to support the goats. Join the Discord, be a part of the discussion yourself. Let's go ahead and introduce some of the wonderful people that will be spitting today about this great chapter. First off, we've got Den Kushi, the first mate, slapping the tushy. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm good, thank you. My name's Den Kushi. I'm a YouTuber that talks about One Piece theories that are very likely to never happen. I got 5.7 thousand subscribers. Make sure you join. Make sure you jump in the TLA Discord. And apologies for my bad signal. Thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Huge.
Let's go.
And next up, we've got ultimately. Next up, we've got the historian of the Last Arc himself. We have one of my favorite people to talk about the most recent chapters with every single time it comes around. Someone I think I'm going to be agreeing a lot with today. We have Kube of the Red Sea, the one and only. How are you today, brother?
Man, I am so happy because this chapter is one for the history books. Honestly, it's going to be a great chapter. As you all know, I'm Kube of the Red Sea, member of the Last Arc, historian, but also a member of the Nothing Happened podcast. Check that out to see why nothing happens on that podcast.
Huge.
I'm excited, guys.
Nothing but goats on that podcast. I'm still waiting for my invite.
Don't worry, it's coming. Don't worry, the invites are coming in soon.
Hell yeah. Next up, we have probably the first person I think I myself have interacted with in like the whole One Piece YouTube scene. One of the nicest people I've ever spoken to, the Navigator of the Last Arc. We would all be lost without her. You've probably seen her everywhere. It's 3-day trip. How are you today?
Hi, vexyz. I'm good. I am 3-day trip. I'm on Reddit, Twitter. I've got a lot of theories going on Twitter really soon, so you got to check it out. And I had a few yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, but check it out.
Hell yeah, check it out indeed. Links in the description. Next up, we have the captain of the Last Arc, one of my best friends in this world. I love him to death. We have the legendary Straw Hat Lucas. Will be playing Frankie in the live action. Just
Yes,
jot that down. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. You could say I'm doing super.
Oh, hell yeah.
Sorry, my daughter came in right as I was doing my introduction. Get that out of your mouth. That's not a lollipop.
He's doing the Frankie pose. He had his hands up in the air. He's like, oh, wait.
But yes, I am Straw Hat Lucas, captain of the Last Arc. Always happy to have my crew with me today. We're going to be discussing this new chapter with such wild ramifications for the story as a whole. Cannot wait to get into it today with everybody. Go check out Rambling Addiction. A new episode is popping off right now.
Hell yeah. And then next up, we have the Frontline Combatant of the Last Arc, one of my lovely players in One Piece D&D for Group 2. We have NoChillDill. Group 2 solos. How you doing today, brother?
Doing pretty good. Can't complain. I got to get it out of the way. Yo. What's up, everyone in the chat? How we all doing? I'd like to see the responses. Keep it on. I also got D&D in 3 hours and give or take about 15 to 20 minutes on Dire Regulus' channel for Group 3 Session 50. We're doing SBS, Jeopardy, crew questions, DM questions. Come grill our DM.
Oh, I'll be there.
Can I real quick? Can I jump in real quick, Dill? I want every member of the Last Arc Discord and Last Arc audience to be there tonight on Dire Regulus' channel. This is a monumental milestone for Group 3, and they're one of the longest running groups of the Last Arc D&D that started last year. And yeah, I would love to see everybody there.
Hell yeah. Everybody definitely check it out. Dyer's the homie. Just recently hit 500 subs. One of my best friends as well. I've been, hanging out with him in VCs for over a year now. I've been in the TLA community for over a year now, and we've seen such tremendous growth. Check out the link in the description if you want to be part of the discussion. We do a lot of community streams as well. So if you want to spit with us, we'd love to hear your takes. We'd love to have you on, and we'd love to see you in there. All of the wonderful One Piece D&D groups are also taking place in there if you wanted to be a part of your own. Definitely check that out. Make sure you like the stream, and without further ado, let's get into one of the spiciest chapters we have seen in quite some time. Holy crap, guys. Like, where to even start?
Real quick, please.
Yeah, go for it.
Just want to add as well, like, dude, you're a great host, but that was 11 out of 10. Like, you are the best host there is on this platform.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. I mean, I do it for the love, I do it for the community. I do it for all the people in the chat, but appreciate you, man. I'm happy to be back on with homies. It's been a minute since I've been on a TLA stream, and I had to show up. I had to bring my best,
Ball out to the fallout. I get you.
That makes sense. Like, it's what we've done.
And like I said, it makes this chapter makes even more sense. It
Yeah,
would be
we're
weird
all-
to have this about this
Yeah,
chapter.
we're all in peak form for this peak fiction. Like, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I feel like I'm at my freest.
Oh my goodness. So again, spoilers if you have not checked out chapter 1118. It's absolutely goated. Go check it out right now. I don't know what you're doing, but where do we even start, guys? Like, I mean, I was losing my mind for like half this chapter.
I mean, where to even start?
The cover page where Yamato is setting off, right? He's setting off. I need final predictions, guys. Where's he setting off to?
I feel like
I believe.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Okay, but I've started, so I'll finish, as they say. I believe, and people might not agree with this, but Alabasta. I think Wano is like the opposite point of the world to Alabasta. And like that is kind of the journey, right? The Joy Boys journey or whatever, going all the way down the line and turn around, coming all the way back. So I think we might see a little bit of maybe not Yamavivi, that would be too much for me. I'd have to sit down for a couple of days, but we'll see somebody in maybe Igaram or something.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like they're in the flower capital right now, and they're leaving.
Yeah,
and
they're sending off to the shrine.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. I think that they're just going to return Enma.
After this. So yes, they're going to return, but because this is obviously Yamato is mimicking Odin's Tour of Wano right now, right? Like, I think we can all agree on that. So my question really is though, like after that though, once this Tour of Wano is done,
I can actually see. Oh, go straight in. I'll go after you.
What if Yamato is actually headed to Moport to find the ancient weapon? Isn't it that a theory that is down there? If it's a Mo.
I think it would be lower than Mogura Port. I think Mogura Port is like a microcosm, like to like, because it's I don't know. I think that's a great theory. I just like my theory is they're going around the world. Like, they're gonna mirror everything about Odin's journey at this point, and I feel like I don't know if I need like them to be like on the Straw Hats, like, crew and sailing along with them or anything like that. But I think it'd be interesting because like we specifically saw that like Odin wasn't on Roger's ship the entire time. They were on Whitebeard. So like, who would be like Luffy's Whitebeard if Luffy is Roger in this situation? And like, whatever the answer is there, I think that might be really interesting. We know that Law himself is extremely interested in the history of the world and stuff like that. So with it, wherever he's at, we did see Beppo recently. Whenever he recovers, maybe he ended up back towards Wano area, and that's where we're going with that. I don't know. It could be kind of anything, but I just see their story mirroring Odin's, as much as possible.
Well, just imagine the cover story ending with Yamato staring at Pluton.
That'd be huge. I don't. I just.
Yeah.
I don't know if.
Huge.
I think it's wild though if Pluton gets revealed in a cover story. But I mean, I'd still love it. But I don't know if.
Revealed, she could just be staring at it and not see, we can't see it, but she's staring.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Maybe in
I
the
was gonna
shadows.
ask on that note, is anybody expecting to see Blackbeard in this cover story? Because a lot of people expect
There might
him
be.
to be heading
I've always said
in that
it does feel like the Germa whole cake cover story we got at the end of Wano.
Yeah, where
direction.
Blackbeard showed up at the end of all of it just to
Yeah.
take over someone.
No,
Yeah.
it's going to end with, like Vex said, it's going to mirror Odin's story, right? It's going to end with Killer washing up on the beaches of Wano with Kid, who he climbed all the way up the waterfall with.
I think that
level 42.
So
It'd be-
actually, yeah,
Go ahead.
go Vex. I'll grab it. I was just gonna say, so you guys talk about mirroring Odin, and as Vex reminded it, when he left, he didn't join Raj immediately. He joined Whitebeard, and right now both Whitebeard and Ace are buried at the same place. So I always wondered if the next location Yamato will go is that location, if it's Sphinx or another island. You know,
Ooh.
mirror Odin going back with similar to Whitebeard, but also Yamato honoring what he said about be able to see Ace win another time.
So do we think Marco's gonna show up and tell Yamato about Ace and Whitebeard being buried on Sphinx?
I don't know. I don't know if it makes
I don't
sense
know.
for Marco to just leave and then come back and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because he was just there.
And not only that, but the last time we saw Marco, it was indicating that he might be going to Impel Down to help Buckingham Stussy to get Weevil out.
Yo, real quick shout out to JJ, John Sherrod on all social media in the chat. Much love to my OPU fam. What's going on, brother? Glad to see you every time I see you in the chat. But I think that, like, I don't know if I need a direct Whitebeard parallel. It's just like, you know, if Luffy is to Roger, like, who would be his Whitebeard? And like, I see it being either Law or Kid, like, but I don't necessarily know if I need that either. I think it just, like, if Yamato's story is going somewhere, I think that it's going to end up being around the world. And upon Yamato's departure would be when Blackbeard would show up, much like how Kaido showed up in Odin's absence.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying? So like I think it'd be really interesting as soon as Yamato leaves, Blackbeard shows up. I'm a huge supporter of one of my absolute favorite people on the planet. You know, Daxake has had a theory about like Blackbeard on the hunt for Pluton and going to Wano and things like that. I was on the same page, you know, before he like started really talking about it, and I think that is something we could absolutely see. I don't know. I just like, what else has he got going on right now? He wasn't at you know, Hachinosu for the whole Garp stuff. So like, I feel like he's always like one step ahead, and I think that there's also got to be some sort of a relationship to, I guess, like the stuff with Caribou, right? You know, like with him getting this knowledge, even though he might have already had it. I don't know. A lot of people are a little bit divided on like that whole situation, but there is fresh information, and this man is about action. He is on the move.
Let me
always.
ask you guys. Let me ask you a question then, though. Do you really think Oda would play on Blackbeard Pirates again for a second cover story in a row?
Absolutely. Yes.
Really?
Because
Think
why
about
would he
it.
focus
The whole
on
thing
that
of
story?
Blackbeard. The whole thing about Blackbeard is to be unpredictable in his crew. Even Saturn is confused by their actions. Even Agorsi doesn't understand what they're trying to do. So it would be on par with the way he writes it. He's unpredictable. Expect the unexpected with Blackbeard.
And he always has been a foot behind Luffy. As soon as Luffy left Tutaland, he showed up his crew showed up there. So yeah, I could see it. I could see it would just feel redundant to me a little bit, but peak at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that it's not at the point where it would be necessarily redundant yet. Like the fact that the Germa's Emotionless Excursion did last as long as it did, and now we're in our next cover story, and it seems to be lasting for what I would say is, you know, I could see this being of a comparable length, and the reveal being equally as big. And I think that it's not given that Oda's going to utilize this, but a lot of times in writing, you see the rules of the rule of threes. And so, I mean, like, I could see this being just another piece into the puzzle, and then there might even be another one after this. As to what that is, I can only really speculate, not with any confidence, but I think it makes a lot of sense if we did get this again now. If it isn't Blackbeard, it's got to be another Yonko faction. Like, because that's the big players right now as far as, like, who we should be paying attention to that aren't already on Egghead. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you think about it, another candidate for Yonko faction with Wano, we don't have much about it, but it would be Cross Guild. Crocodile.
Yeah, that'd be
Pluton,
so
you know?
cool. Can you imagine, like, Yamato goes to set down Enma at the shrine and Mihawk's there, and it's just like, I could use another Black Blade. Like, that's wild.
Mihawk,
Shout out to Knack D real quick with the $2.79 Monopoly money. Win stream TLA. I'll check the replay.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for the loonies and toonies, my man.
But besides the cover story and like what that could all lead to, this chapter is monumental for a number of reasons. I've been seeing a lot of the community divided on like kind of the ending of the chapter. But before we get to like the true spice, the first thing like that I kind of wanted to bring up about this chapter is, yo, didn't these giants have a hole punched in their ship? Like, how are they, like, how they doing? You know what I mean? Like, this was a little crazy to see. Like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of individuals talking about how they think that the giants or Kizaru might self-sacrifice for the Straw Hats to end up getting away. And like, the ship looks fine in this chapter. Am I crazy?
No, it looks fine. I'm more worried about how many Marine ships went down with the Iron Giant.
Oh, yeah.
It landed right on top of a bunch of them.
Like a fourth of the fleet. Yeah, Cube. I know what you're going to say.
It.
Warkery, guys. Warkery might be the trade. I've been saying it for a while now. It's no sin
So,
to defeat.
Dude, he seems to. I said this in my chapter reaction. He seems to be hindering the government more than he is the Straw Hats at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
Like,
wild.
yes,
His words don't fit his actions, if you think about it. For someone who speaks all game, like the other Gors say, they fit their action. But it seems that every time there's something with Warkery, like it seems more defensive than actually offensive.
I don't know if I see it, but I mean, if it happens, hell yeah, brother. I mean, like, I know JJ is gonna be in shambles, you know, but that's.
But that would make him a top man. If he's helping the Straw Hats, though, and JJ as a top man lover, like that would just make me love him more.
So I get
Not a monster?
I get the sentiment on that, but from the Emu and world government perspective, he would be bottom man.
Oh my god. But yeah, with the talking about the Iron Giant and stuff like that, like what did you guys think about like us getting like their internal monologue? And I don't know, it seemed like 20 chapters ago or something when they first stood up that they were like directly referring to Joy Boy, but now they seem confused. You think we'll get anything different in the officials, or what are your thoughts on that, guys?
Are you talking about when he's falling into the ocean?
Yeah, and we get like he seems unsure now about the
I
whole
think it's
Joy Boy's
because-
presence.
Well, it's because of Luffy falling out of Gear 5, I think. Like, he heard the drums of liberation. He knew he was there, and then the next thing he knew, he's not. Because the minute... Sorry, go ahead, kid. No, you go ahead. I'm coughing real bad.
Oh yeah, no, drink some water, bro. But also, I was gonna say, it kind of makes you think of. Remember how Zunisha was in Wano? Zunisha, the moment they hear the drums of liberation, it's like Zunisha woke up. So I'm wondering if the Iron Giant, like, might be mentally always active, but physically can only like start moving if the drums of liberation are working. It kind of makes me the vibe of Zunisha, like it really be, connected to something, and you saw life in Zunisha's eyes.
So I'm gonna be honest. The Iron Giant seems to almost think that this means that Joy Boy died again, because it seems like he was expecting that signal to stay going for a little bit longer, but it went out because Luffy can't maintain that form. But maybe the original person that he's attracting that signal to was able to just permanently stay in that form.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too, is that like the Joy Boy had such a mastery over the NIKA fruit, or was just straight up NIKA, that he was in that form constantly. And maybe we will see that with Luffy. Maybe we will get a true awakening where he can maintain it for as long as he wants to. Maybe once he accepts that he's NIKA, the liberator.
Or maybe once he accepts that he is the most free man on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
really
I'm
interesting.
honestly,
I was just gonna say really quick.
yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
I was just gonna say I'm interested when we get the information on in the voice entry flashback, when we get the Iron Giant or whatever flashback we get in that arc. What is the technology they used to create the Iron Giant? Because that metal they made for the Iron Giant is crazy.
Bro,
So it's almost
it's
everything.
waffle metal before waffle had the fruit.
I mean, it could be the
Think about
liquor
it.
iron ore. Like we've heard a lot
That
about
too.
like that as
But-
I don't know.
Like, I just think it's that metal because think about the previous users of Waffle's fruit. The metal that he makes is already regarded as the toughest metal in the world. Think about the metal that an awakened user of that fruit made.
Well, check it. Listen, I'm not a big supporter of the Waffle metal thing with the Iron Giant. I actually think, like Vex does, it's liquor iron ore. But if the storyline is cyclical and these fruits have a will, what if the Waffle's fruit's will is to make that metal every time somebody gets in tune with it enough? So, like, it becomes that, like I said, it becomes another piece of evidence for that cyclical nature of the story, where maybe a user in the voice entry was able to create this metal, especially with how advanced the technology is. If you could purify Waffle metal past the point it already is, like, whew, it's going to be a strong metal.
I mean, if you think about the chapter where the Iron Giant was introduced, the Luffy side of the crew was at the food area, and the others were seeing the Iron Giant. So if it goes back to the Baku Baku no Mi, it's the we see Wapple being always hungry in that way. So just a thought. I never caught on to that, but
Yeah,
if it's indeed connected. But yeah, man.
everything's connected, and everything goes back to Thriller Bark.
Hell yeah, brother! I wasn't the first one to say it. It's wow, marking calendars, folks.
These Gorisair casting pretty big shadows, if I might say so.
Well, we were talking about Workery being a traitor earlier, and I just want to say this before I forget it, is one thing I was telling Cube, I think on the last stream, is that it's based off the Hoki, which in the original legend of Sun Wukong was a mountain god that Sun Wukong defeated, and once he was defeated, he helped Sun Wukong in like his further adventures. So there's a lot of symbolism there that could also tie to Workery being the traitor, if there's a traitor in something we're saying.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Think of the implications if Odin didn't kill the mountain god in Wano. He could have just beat it and tamed it.
Yeah.
By the way, just about the chapter, we gotta give a shout out to poor Rebecca having to deal with Leo's naivety,
Bro.
being said callable.
Yeah. He's hearing the words and he's like, you know what? This makes sense. What if it was Luffy?
I think 3-Day agrees with me. That was one of the most adorable things. Like I love Leo.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember seeing 3-Day and Dak's live reaction chat. Like we were both like right on the same page. That was like one of the cutest little touches. I love the little details,
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. And Rebecca being exasperated by it, like it's so good, man.
She's like had to deal with this for like however long since Dressrosa at this point. Like, oh god, you gotta be kidding me, dude! Like again, like. Oh my goodness! But yeah, that's
just being
that's
like,
huge.
The newspapers lie about Luffy. We've been over this 100 times.
The one thing we could say,
The birds work for the bourgeoisie.
Yeah, the birds work for the bourgeoisie.
Oh my god!
Her face
and
looks
this
like
proves
Nami whenever
something.
she faces Luffy.
The propaganda is really strong. It's honestly, I did not think that people had such blind belief in the world government. Like, this chapter proves to it. They can't even grasp themselves that they could do that to Vegapunk.
They were like, they would never unalive the world's most, like intelligent leading scientist just for him committing a few crimes. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, And then like you, because people always bring up the concept that like Luffy to the like average person in the One Piece world, straight menace. Like this 17-year-old kid showed up out of nowhere, just started every country he's gone to has been like what's the word I'm looking for? Overthrown governments and everything. Like he has freed so many nations across the world. Dude is probably terrifying. And then the added bonus of that is now the papers are reporting on the death of Vegapunk and stuff like that. Oh my bad, the unalive of Vegapunk and stuff like that. And I said this during my chapter reaction, like when they flashed the Alabasta and people who were definitely alive during the Alabasta stunt that Luffy pulled were like, oh, remember he was with Straw Hat Luffy? That guy definitely killed him. Which I get because like the Straw Hats were like, we're not heroes, don't tell anybody about this kind of thing. But like,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah, like
is the one arc where the newspaper removed the Straw Hats' accomplishment, gave them the smoker.
yeah, like
Remember?
99.99% of the Alabasta population does not trust the Straw Hats because like only a select few actually know what's going on.
bro.
Yeah.
And they
in the
they probably
future.
do know that the captain of the Straw Hats punched their princess. Like,
Well, yeah, but Koza and Toto know about the Straw Hats pirates' involvement in the war.
can we also talk
And-
about how Koza just looked hard? He looked hard in this.
Bro,
in this.
Koza
He's
shades.
relaxed, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Shades.
I'm just happy to see my guy Toto, most hardworking guy in Alabasta.
Agreed.
Imagine.
When everyone
Maybe
told him there was
Toto.
no
Maybe
water, he
actually
said,
maybe
"There's no water here,
plot twist.
I know it."
Plot twist. Toto's excited for the flooding. He can finally get his well.
Oh my god. That's
It
wild.
was like, hell yeah, there is gonna be water. Like,
But yeah, but
mean-
yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, to be fair, since Crocodile has no longer been affecting the island, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it is still desert climate, but I think it might get more rain than when Crocodile was there.
I mean, I think it's about to get a lot more water, you know, if the sea levels, you know, the thing is true. So, I mean, there's that.
yeah. So what? I know I'm jumping far ahead in the chapter here. So what do you guys think was up with Luffy? Like when he went Gear 5, the earthquakes and the seawater rising a little bit.
I think that was
do you guys think-
specifically the Iron Giant when it was submerged. It just displaced a ton. There's like a little tidal
Okay.
surge whenever it plunged down. So I mean, I feel like that's
Yeah.
what that was. It was just kind of convenient timing. Maybe it's something
Yeah,
else,
okay.
but like
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
We could also
I mean,
be.
yeah, but-
Oh yeah, sorry. I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead. No, yeah, I was just gonna.
I was just gonna say it could be like Oda foreshadowing that there's one of the two ingredients of that flooding might be the Nika no Mi, Luffy's fruit. You
Yo,
know,
hold
the
on.
way they say that the water's rising.
Zingy 1914 just put in chat something that was in the back of my mind, and I absolutely love it. You're a goat. Bouncy water
Bouncy
is
water.
it's
I saw the
actually
same
crazy.
thing. It was like-
I was gonna say, it looks like he rubberized it and it's just bouncing all the ships.
That'd be so
Like,
cool.
it doesn't look like an earthquake. It just looks like all of it's moving on separate bounces from everything.
Maybe
hitting
it's
it.
because of two Nikas forming.
Well, it was all the water was.
Oh,
all
yeah,
just
this was
bouncing and
right
everything
before,
was
yeah.
right
Yeah.
before it.
Yep, you're right.
But you've now officially broken the seal, Lucas. Now we have to talk about it.
Hold on, wait. Do you guys think I've one more question before we get to the big stuff? Do you
Bruh.
guys think Mr. Nine's baby is Miss Monday's child as well?
Oh my god.
Yeah. I think in the cover story it was literally. I mean it's a cover story, but it felt like they were the parents in that cover story we saw a while back, a long time
You
ago.
right? I keep forgetting about their cover story, dude. I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, you're right.
It's because for me this is the most unexpected relationship I've ever had in One Piece. Never expected that from those.
Ooh, sorry, Nasty Ninja in the comments. The sea was dancing.
Yeah, and also
I like
also,
that because you see the dun 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 at the top of the panel there. Yeah,
and also what
ooh.
Luffy says, all right, the moment the earthquake, another earthquake, Luffy says, all right, my belly's fully full, let's go. It must be something with
Yeah,
Luffy's
let's
daughters.
go.
He got so excited.
Yeah.
Sorry, every time I see
so-
Don Toto, I get excited.
So
Like,
now so this is interesting because we've always had that question: did NIKA have a hand in the flooding all those years ago? And it could be that he's one of the two ingredients of that flooding. There's always two. There are always two to dance. He might be one of the dancers, which is scary to think about it.
That's pretty wild. I think, like, I don't know, like, we were told about the four like gods in when we first heard about the sun god in the first place, and I don't know if, like, I mean, like, the thing is like there's also, like, whenever I think it was Hyogoro, whenever Luffy went Gear 4 in the performance hall or whatever, he was talking about the fire god, and then that's like a whole different deity. And then we also like hear about the Tenjin, the lightning god, which was the name of one of Big Mom's attacks and stuff like that. So I mean, I've said this before on stream with you guys, and I think that it's very likely that some of the four gods, like, it might be four visages of like the same deific figure, or like maybe like the fire god is the same thing as the sun god, but there's just like a different yeah, exactly, it's a different interpretation. And like, if I don't know, in a lot of common pop culture, gods are shaped by their believers and things like that, and like, so it's that, or like they are something that predates but like the thing is if enough people believe a certain thing in the world of One Piece, I think that they can absolutely will it to be true. So the fact that there are now, like like, I think this is actually like super cool. And like I know a lot of the people who I saw in a lot of different reaction chats and stuff like that are a little bit divided about this, but I think that there's been so much that sets this up throughout the story so far. And I think it's really interesting if we see two different versions of the sun god, because I think that's actually already been like fairly alluded to in the story so far. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, especially when you think of Skypiea calling. And just a reminder, Ganfall said he can use mantra because he's not born with it, but he can use future sight. But and NL was using both styles, and he kept calling in mantra, sniffing in Wano. So I think you're spot on. It must be based on the culture. Like, they didn't, at the time where that thing became rampant, think of Wano, people don't leave, just like a Skypiea. So I think those legends just stay there. So the naming, or how that legend did not translate in the other ones, so it becomes two different legends. But it's it's like the Sun Wukong and Hanuman type of thing. They
I was
take from
gonna
one
go
another.
along those lines. It's like people at the beginning of Luffy's journey would refer to him as something different than people at the later stages, just because they would see him in a different appearance more times than not. Like, even if you're just going like no NIKA style, just he would be older, he would be stronger, bigger, all of that stuff. By the time he got to the end of his journey, he might have a different epithet than whenever he was at the beginning. It might just be, hey, at the beginning it was the fire god, and then later on it became the sun god because of what the actual god portrayed to the world.
That's nicely said.
I think it's really interesting, as well as like something to also, like, there's like been, like, if you really like look for them, like little trails of breadcrumbs leading up to, like, I guess like this moment for quite some time. And like seeing Bonnie use the distorted future and become like their own version of the sun god is really interesting. And I've heard a lot of individuals say, well, I don't want just, like everybody to be getting Gear 5 now and stuff like that. I don't think that's what's really going to happen like at this point in the story. But I think that even if that were the case, that's something that has been set up because we've seen the Tamate Baku. And like some ancient, faction in it closely tied to the Ryugu kingdom, who left it there and trusted them with protecting it, was trying to it was very, very likely that they were trying to potentially recreate an abusable form of Gear 5, a repeatable like a way to accomplish this type of power, and maybe recreate like an eternal flame or make an entire army of it or something like. But we've seen, like 500 plus chapters ago, these types of events already alluded to. So a lot of people were upset, and I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, it's not anything like new, you know what I mean? I get that. Like,
yeah, I don't.
it's because the trope has been done before, and I don't think that it has ever been done justice to the degree that I think Oda will do it. But like people are upset because this trope has been done before. I don't think this really fits within the trope, but a lot of people are lumping it and putting it in that box right now. So for the sake of
just to elaborate, which trope are you talking about?
Being able to
the hero sharing their power,
exactly, being able to like spread your form, like like it. And so like I think that it's really interesting. Also think that it's really interesting that the GOAT tainted Marth with a €5 super chat. Said Buggy's nose is red, Chopper's is blue. If you don't watch TLA, go F you. Dang. Still 56 more characters to write. I know. Like D stream with like 5 exclamation points. What a go!
I feel like Maurice wrote that. I feel like Maurice is the one that wrote that, and not Marth.
You mean Marquis?
But no, Vex.
Marquis.
Yeah, Marquis. When I say Maurice, my bad. Some French name.
Oh my god. Crazy.
Hold on. Before I lose what I was gonna say. So I agree with you completely, Vex. I don't understand why people are upset, because I don't see this fitting into that trope at all. It makes complete sense for Bonnie to do this. And with how much setup we got for it, and I really appreciate you calling back to the King's Treasure chest in Fishman Island. I cannot pronounce it, so I'm not gonna try. Because I've stressed the importance of Fishman Island for a long time now, and that is one of the leading factors of it. Is I did not think about it as a way to mimic NIKA's powers until this chapter, if I'm being honest. But like that fits so well, because if I'm being honest, I thought it was mimicking Sulong more than NIKA.
I also thought that.
Well,
yeah, it was like a way for Fishman to be able to tap into that animalistic nature that the other animal type people have in the world.
In the language of my people, ¿por qué no las dos? Like like Sulong is something.
It can be both.
Yeah, something that is specifically attained through moonlight, which is the reflection of the sun. So I mean, I think that they are all tied together.
It's a lesser version of Gear 5. Yeah, like exactly. Okay, because it's a reflection of the sun. Ooh.
The thing is that
is spicy.
It mirrors like the fact that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we also got the restriction that was placed for Sulong of you lose yourself to the animalistic nature if you're in that form and you can't control it.
Exactly. It's the link to the Zoan fruit, and like awakening a Zoan comes at the risk of it potentially overtaking your will and things like that. And I think that it's really interesting that friction is the reason that Oda gave us as far as like electro being a thing, and like friction causes fire, and like like fire and like the sun, a lot of people see that as a parallel as well, like, or it could be a parallel. And I think it's crazy because it like all of these things have been kind of interconnected in like a certain way, and it hasn't been like overtly obvious, although like us with our tinfoil straw hats on can like be like, oh my god, it makes perfect sense. But like it's a lot of the times we're like going through like our theories and things like that, and we're considering them to be truth, and then there's moments in the chapters that give us just a little bit more of a nudge in that direction, and it's so cool. It's like when we got the Kitetsu reveal, like last chapter. It's like, yeah, that's been everybody's headcanon for like the longest time. We never had confirmation until now, and so like this feels like a confirmation of like and especially because Saturn was the one who actually gave her this power. So I mean, if they were trying to specifically figure out a way to recreate like either Gear 5 and or the Mother Flame, like an Eternal Flame type of situation, this would make a lot of sense. And I think it's also really cool that one of the biggest drawbacks that Luffy has to Gear 5 right now is that he becomes an old man afterwards, and Bonnie's power can de-age him, put him back in his prime.
Sir. See, and I want to thank you for saying that bit about Saturn being the one to give Bonnie the power, because when you brought up that trope, right, about the main hero sharing his power with her, this was not Luffy's power allowing her to do this. This was Bonnie. envisioning herself as someone who could be as free as NIKA. Like, and that's why I don't think it falls into that trope at all. And like you said, there's so much foreshadowing to it. We saw Bonnie in the Kube flashback straight saying, you know, a NIKA-ish future and going gear third, basically.
I call it gear 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah, gear 3.5, yeah. Like, I don't understand. I still just don't understand how people could be upset about this. It was set up flawlessly in my position, but like you said, not everyone delves as deep into it. There are surface level fans of One Piece, but if I'm being honest, I don't understand how anyone could be a surface level fan with One Piece. But I don't know. I feel like the writing is on the wall all over, even for the average person. Like, if you have the ability to understand what you were reading, the comprehension.
Well,
too,
it goes
like,
deeper than that,
like
because it's like with One Piece specifically, it's kind of unlike a lot of other things where you.
Yeah, we hear you, Cube.
Yeah, we can hear you. But it's kind of set up like nothing else, in the fact that like there's so much time in between some of these big reveals and so many other things going on in all these other places of the world. So many factions to keep up with now, and with all of the big stuff that we've been getting in the past entire year, the whole time we've been on Egghead, over a year now, this whole arc and the arc before it and things like that, that we're fairly disconnected to some of these things that we got 500 plus chapters ago. I can understand how individuals can like forget about certain details and things like that. And so I also can understand that people who are fans of other series that have done something similar, like the big three, all have like a splash of like something that's at least adjacent to this, and a lot of other like popular anime, and even in other media, not just anime and stuff like that. This has been established as a trope. I don't think that this fits perfectly within the lines of the trope that everybody is referring to right now. But if these people do forget about this and that, and, you know, have been just kind of like casually keeping along, or like maybe skipping around here or there and things like that, like I can see people being frustrated. It makes a little bit of sense, but at the same time, like, you know, that's the point of the discussions like this, is that we can kind of shed a little bit more light and our perspective on those things. So I understand why some people are upset, but specifically, I don't share the sentiment. You know what I mean? Huge shout out to Dill. Dill, read your own thing.
Like the stream, Bonnie for Nakama, hashtag bottom man betray.
Crazy. All right, enough of that. Cube, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So I saw Chestnut and Hime's stream when they were reacted to the chapter, and Hime was very confused. And actually, Chestnut, you know, because I think she read the chapter beforehand, she had a good response to it. She thinks the community is also very stuck on the future aspect of Bonnie, and so she thinks that people are too confused on when it says a certain future or something like that, or distorted future, and they believe that. She says also there are correlations that people actually believe Bonnie now has NIKA powers, which is not that. She's believing for this brief instance she's NIKA, so she can embody those abilities briefly. She had a very nice discussion. Like, we get surface level of devil fruits, and with Bonnie, we got the one thing we got is she can take a certain distorted future, and I think the fandom is complaining that with Bonnie now has the NIKA fruit, the NIKA powers.
Yeah, and well, I do want to say I do think it is a pure mimic. Like, I think whatever form she is in right now is a pure mimic of what Luffy is doing in NIKA. Because of the drums of liberation being over both of them. That indicated to me that her heartbeat is beating the drums of liberation as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but it's not anything that is specifically tied to Luffy's devil fruit. It's just her devil fruit, and it shows a panel, right? Where she, of course. The thing is, it shows a panel where she remembers Luffy saying, like, "This is when I'm most free." And so the thing is, she doesn't have to imagine a future where she has a different devil fruit. That doesn't make sense. What she has to imagine is a future in which she is her most free. Which I think makes complete sense, especially because Luffy has shown time and time again to be able to convince people to believe in him, and him psyching her up and saying, "Yes, you can do this." Him inspiring, like he has.
Say in Marineford.
Exactly. And so it goes all the way back to Alabasta and before, and like him gathering his crew back in the East Blue and stuff like that. Like Luffy's been inspiring people to believe in his words and his actions all along the entire story, literally since like the first 5 chapters. And that's what we just saw just now. And within the confines of Bonnie's backstory and Kuma's backstory, as well as what we know about her devil fruit, this makes perfect sense. I think this is peak. I think this is such a good chapter, and I'm honestly kind of a little bit upset that so much of the community is divided about it, but not you guys in the chat are all goated, and you know, you guys all seem to get along with the like what we're putting down. And I think that it's so cool to see like a moment like this, like that has been set up, and it just feels really gratifying to me. And like, it's unfortunate that some people don't recognize it as like the peak that I see it as.
It harkens back to the NIKA reveal, man, because I caught up with One Piece like 6-7 chapters right after NIKA happened, and you caught up literally on NIKA, Vex.
Literally that chapter.
So you remember, yeah, that chapter. So like, it reminds me of that discourse when Luffy first went NIKA, and everyone was, oh, it's too goofy. This breaks the whole anime. This was not foreshadowed at all. Yeah, this isn't serious. Why isn't it serious? And it harkens me back to that because it also makes me think of the conversation we literally just had about like the context clues were there. We just weren't looking at them in the right perspective. But with this one, I feel like the NIKA transformation gave us all such a fresh view on the story and how it could go in the way that Oda could take it that I don't know how nobody in the community called this, if I'm being honest.
It was.
I do not. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And the reason I'm upset is because I loved it so much. I wish everybody could feel that way. That's how much I loved it, and to see them not love it and appreciate it as much as I did, it's just sad.
It feels the same way, like Lucas was saying with Gear 5, like how a lot of people were like just finding reasons to be upset about that, and there was still like a setup and whatnot. And I think that the closer we get to the big reveal, like the true end game, you know, like there are going to be those individuals, and like people are saying in the chat, it's the vocal minority, and it's something that you know, us, you know, being a part of our own little community here, you know, we definitely have to address. But like it's only gonna be, I think, like more people are gonna kind of come out of the woodwork whenever something like when the One Piece gets revealed, you are gonna see a ton of people who never even watched the show come to try and like kind of like, you know, throw some shade on it. And like it's gonna happen with when you have an intellectual property this massive and has such a huge fan base. Like there's going to be divisive bits, and I feel like the closer we get, the more we're gonna get from that. But I'm glad that, you know, like I'm surrounded by a community full of wonderful people who do see the vision, who do understand how great this moment is, you know. So thank you to all of you guys.
Yeah, exactly, man. In my reaction, I was grinning for the last like 5-6 minutes of filming. Like it was longer filming because editing and everything, but like I could not stop smiling because it was such an iconic moment. This will go down as like one of the best twists, not twist per se, but like one of the best events in all of One Piece. It really comes down to what I was saying about My Heroes last arc, is that when people look back on this, even those that are detractors of it right now, retrospectively, like with the full story in hand, I guarantee people are going to love it even more than what they do now.
Yeah, like I said the other day with you guys on VC, Lucas and Vex, you caught out around Gear 5, but I've been here for a while, and I still remember vividly I'd had discussion with people on when I was on that YouTube group as an admin, where people who were upset about the whole Gear 5 who had the balls to tell me Luffy has always been serious in this fight. Why this fight he has to be goofy? And that's when I realized some people are just want to hate on stuff, regardless, you know.
Oh yeah.
The moment they said that, I said, okay, that's an agenda. You can't.
I believe the term. Yeah, I believe the term they use on 4chan is incel, but I'm not going to say that.
Stop. I did want to.
I was wanting to bring up something Doron brought up in the chat. He said, "I also wonder if this means that she can get any devil fruit if she believes in it."
That's like crazy.
I
was literally about to say the same thing.
Fruit, could she use another power?
I don't
Be
think
like,
it's.
oh, look,
Yes!
I
No,
imagine
I don't-
myself with the brain fruit. She
I don't think
has
it's
all
that
of the
simple.
same cumulative.
I don't think it's that simple.
No,
She
so
can like say like I imagine a Vegapunkish future and like get some intelligence, but I don't think it'd mimic the fruit entirely. But go
No,
ahead,
I'm
Vex.
not
I'm
meaning
sorry.
I'm not meaning the intelligence that he has. I'm saying like it would be her imagining the future of her having that fruit since she got a fruit. It'd be that accumulative
I don't
knowledge
think
of her
I don't think it's
life
like
through that
it-
point.
I don't think that's like what it is. Like what I was saying is like with Luffy, like she's not imagining a future where she has the NIKA fruit because that doesn't make sense. Like within like the confines of things, and I don't think she's going and like retconning her past and have it like I think the part of it is that she's imagining a future where she is her freest, and that was the only justification she got for Luffy being able to do what he does. And I think that like if she were to imagine a future where she is the smartest person in the world, then she could have like Vegapunk-esque like futures, and that, but it's not necessarily tied to the devil fruit itself. And I think that this isn't exclusive to devil fruits. If she imagined a future where like there's other powers as well, like I'm going to talk about the absolute GOAT, somebody we don't bring up enough. I'm going to talk about my boy Lao G. And like, if she imagined a future where she spent 60 years not fighting and saving, then she could have like a crazy Geofist thing. If she imagined a future where another GOAT from Dressrosa, she had spent an hour and a half charging up a King Punch, but she didn't actually do that. Could she just launch a King Punch with no buildup and stuff like that? I think it's not just limited to devil fruits, I don't think, and I don't think that it's about what knowledge she has. It's about like, because specifically with like Saturn in 1103, I think it was, she couldn't picture a future of her getting away from Saturn. She lost hope. She couldn't believe in it, and so it's solely dependent on the way that she interprets things in her mind, the information that she has, the things that she believes, her imagination are what's key. So I think that's the only like qualification that needs to be met. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It comes down to like it's her imagination, man. And that's what makes her fruit, like Luffy's fruit. It comes down to imagination. What can she imagine her future being like?
I feel like
It's
go ahead,
Oh.
Cube. Sorry.
I was gonna say it kind of makes you think, and that's why I agree with what Vex is saying. It's more like it's not the power; it's more if you understand. It's the best example is if you understand the origin of the power, the sentiment. Because of all the NIKA thing, it's not about being rubber. It's about being the war of liberation, the drums of liberation, knowing those different key components. So like I could give another doubt food. I think Kata Devon could do more closer imitations than what Bonnie can do, because the Kitsune actually does illusions. It's a trickster. So I could see Kata Devon doing more what other people are saying, but I think Bonnie is more because of her connection to the NIKA lore. So I could see her doing with other fruits if she had that type of knowledge, much deeper.
yeah.
Well, it's almost like a stacking thing, because she knows that he has a rubber-like body. She knows that he fights with his full will, like as much as he wants to, and she learned from Luffy himself that that's his form when he's the most free. So she's like, okay, so that form
I need to
is
be free.
NIKA.
Yeah.
That form is NIKA. He's most free in that form. That gives him the rubber-like body and all that, and it's like, okay, these pieces are starting to work together. So she's getting a little bit more of a basis to build on, as opposed to what Saturn was trying to tell her by closing that gap to be like, yeah, no, the more you know about stuff, the less likely you are to replicate the full extent of that.
But 2 points
It's
I wanted to
actually
bring up
just trying
about
to
that.
close her in to be like, yeah, you're boxed in. You can't do anything with this power. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's presumably like a useless kind of devil fruit if you buy into the propaganda that the world government's been spitting for centuries now, and so it's really interesting that it flew under the radar for so long, and I think that fits within the narrative that we've been that we've had established by Oda for quite some time now. And I also think that it's really interesting is that I don't think this is going to be something that she's just going to be able to do left and right all the time. I think this is like a just because Luffy is able to inspire in this moment, like we've seen him doing all throughout the story, throughout the narrative that's been established this whole time. And without Luffy, I don't think that, because you got to remember, she's a 12-year-old. She's had a rough life. She's had a lot of things that she thought were the truth not be true. Like she came in here, absolutely wanted to unalive Vegapunk, and then had to come to terms with like everything that she thought she knew about the situation was not true. And now she's understanding that the powers that, pull the strings in the world, the Gorosei, are like, it's just like, I think that it's really something that I don't imagine being abusable. I think this is like a pseudo awakening of her devil fruit, but then she's going to go back to being like a 12-year-old girl after this that like still has really good use of her devil fruit because she's had it for the larger chunk of for her whole life, but like I don't think that she's just going to be able to pull this out whenever, and so that's what I think a lot of other people are upset about is like, oh well, now there's just 2 and they're just going to be able to do this forever and they're just going to be like, I don't think that's the case. I think this is like a very limited use case of like I don't think this is going to be abused, which I think a lot of people are kind of assuming from this because they've seen in adjacent trope type things in other pop culture that it was either abused or just like completely like lackluster and not utilized whatsoever. I think if anybody is going to be able to pull off something that's adjacent to what people are comparing this to right now, it's going to be Oda. And the way that I see it is that at the end of the day, Bonnie is just a 12-year-old. Like I don't think she's like perfectly awakening her devil fruit yet, but I think this is like just a one-off like pseudo awakening of her devil fruit, and then maybe down the line that she might get to a point where she truly awakens, and then she might be able to do this stuff at will with little to no downsides and stuff like that. But something I saw in Daxake's live chat whenever I was seeing his reaction and stuff like that, somebody said, and I don't remember who it was, but if you're in the chat, you're goated, and but they said like I could see Luffy being like kind of like this like handing off the straw hat to Bonnie after everything's all said and done, and her being the successor of the story. And I think I would love that. That'd be so cool.
I agree entirely, and I think it goes without saying, I think a lot of the community shares this. I don't know about you guys, that Bonnie's definitely Nakama now. Like she's getting on board the Straw Hat ship.
I don't know if I need that. Like I
She
see,
she will survive, that's for sure. But what I already said.
yeah. Like the thing is that their powers are too similar, and like I think that like this is like a dynamic duo, and I don't think it's gonna like this is just like it's kind of like the same beef that a lot of people had with Law. And as much as I love Law, I'm actually glad he's not on the ship right now because he's overshadowing the other 9 Straw Hats that we didn't really get much from.
Yeah,
I don't see her being Nakama. I don't think we need any more Nakama. And I've been firm on that since I got caught up, since before I got caught up, since back in Whole Cake. I was like, I don't need more Nakama. Grand Fleet,
except for BB.
Oh,
BB can come on board the ship.
I don't know what's happening.
Lucas,
your audio is
crazy.
horrible.
How about now?
No.
Am I good now?
Nope.
No, the
Nope.
feedback's
Okay.
horrible.
Rip.
Oof,
We lost a real one.
in the
Chat.
meantime,
But
Yeah, my earphones are in full power. I almost like fainted.
Are you high or something?
oh my
Am I good?
goodness. You're better now.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I was just saying, except for Vivi, right? Like Vivi can come back on board the ship, Vex.
Vivi is already a Nakama based off of what was established in Alabasta, and if she wants to be aboard the ship, that's fine. But like that's just like I don't need any more, is what I said, and she was already established to be one.
Vex. Okay, good.
But
I just had to make
at the
sure we're on
same
the same page
time,
about
like
that.
everybody wants to kind of like hyper analyze that, like, oh, what's her role on the ship, and like just like and I've seen tons of videos on it and stuff like that, and like it doesn't matter. Like everyone's like, well, she doesn't have a dream, she can't be. There's no formula. Like a lot of these things where like it's poetic that Oda was able to pull off everything, but like people are just over analyzing this, and at this point, I'm just like, it's not that deep. Like like if like.
Do we even know Jinbei's dream? Like, I don't get why people hyperfixate on the dream thing. We don't even know what Jinbei. Jinbei just wants to be there.
No, he wants his people to be able to like exist in the sun.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
Jinbei
true.
is
That's
weird.
true.
Jinbei is weird, but I
Fake
think it was his
fan.
discussion with. I think it's with Fisher Tiger or Hime. He doesn't say my dream is, but basically he
Oh
talks
yeah,
about his dream.
he inherited Fisher Tiger's will,
Yeah, yeah.
except for the part of him that couldn't accept the help of humans. He told Jinbei to be better, accept the help of humans, and
Yeah, exactly.
the whole reason Oh yeah. My bad.
Jinbei
Had a
is the
lapse in
interesting one.
memory.
No, because Jinbei is written in a way that usually with most of the people who connect to becoming a straw hat like Yamato or a straw hat, they use the term dream when talking about a dream. Jinbei never used the word dream, but he expressed a dream. That's, so yeah, that's why. So I'd like to bring up something with this chapter. Do we might have now know why, close to 100 years ago, they started writing the Bragman books where they belittle the great heroes in the past so people do not... I think we might get one of the reasons why. If there are more instances like Bonnie in the past. I think we're getting more and more clear vision with it. With Nolan, now Bonnie.
I think that the thing is like with erasure being like the modus operandi of the world government for the past like 8 centuries, it's something to like, there's a power in you writing a work of air quotes fiction that is like maybe a quarter turn off of the actual like thing that you're trying to sell to the folks. And that way, at least there's like a version of it that exists in their mind and that they still believe. And, maybe like it's not exactly the events because that would get Lelucia'd. That would get you hunted down and stuff like that. But like a comparison to what the actual events were, but not the actual events themselves. Something cryptic like the lyrics of Bink Sake, which everybody can, assume refers to events of the Void Century and stuff like that, but not the actual events themselves. A work of art that transforms it. Like reaction content on YouTube. You got to like transform it a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to get copyright struck. It's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so I think that's why it makes a lot of sense as to why some of these works of fiction like the Liar Nolan have, persisted and were shown to us in the main story and things like that. I think that it's really cool to think about, like, I don't know, because I always bring it back to like One Piece D&D and stuff like that. And like what other events, might be like mythical events and things like that might be a little bit like a quarter turn off of what really happened,
Exactly. Yeah. That misinformation given. Also, I just gotta say real quick, Jose, I love when you're in our chats, bro, but that is the Ellis take I've ever read from you.
Okay.
What did he say?
He said Jinbei just joined the crew to take away more screen time from their irrelevant straw hats.
Oh my
No,
goodness.
that was Momo Kinemon, and even though I love them, and Law who took their screen time. It wasn't Jinbei.
Yeah, but I miss Momo and Kinemon. Well, more Kinemon than Momo, but I do miss.
Well, say goodbye to him. I hope you said goodbye
Thank you
to
for
him.
that 8-month subscription. So we all
Oh, yeah.
agree Bonnie is going to be a donut soon, right after
No.
Carrot.
No, Bushido.
Yeah, we
No,
don't
none
agree.
of us agree with you, brother.
We
No.
don't
Bonnie-
actually think.
Yeah. Bonnie will bite it once your carrot agenda dies, bro. Just like Vex said. Like,
But no, I think that it's really interesting that we're at a point where so many people can have so many different like thoughts for like how the story is going to play out when we are like nearing like this is like kind of like one of like, it's been a lot in Egghead that makes me feel like, oh my god, like this is the story is coming to an end. It's getting close. It's like it's actually, this was one of the biggest like it put that feeling in me whenever I was reading it. I was like, oh my goodness, this is like actually end game stuff, guys. And it was really cool. And I think that it's really fantastic to have such a wonderful community to be able to kind of like revel in it all and stuff like that. Even if some people do have differing opinions and stuff like that, everybody's goated. And it's so crazy, like and in chapters that are as divisive as this one, and like with these big reveals, and we're only going to get more of them as we approach the actual big reveal at the end of the story. We just have to remember, as a community, we're all here because we've enjoyed the story, and I think there's going to be like a huge message at the end, like that, like whatever the moral is, that Oda just wants us to laugh and stuff like that. Just don't take it too seriously. Like, like so many people are just taking this way too seriously. And I'm like, it's a comedy. Like it's a goofy story about a pirate kid, like So that's like
It's
something that I'm thinking about a lot, as so many people get really upset about some of the stuff that's going on, and I'm just like,
yeah.
just chill, guys. Like,
Well, to shout out Marth again, like he has that mega theory, and I'm gonna spoil it a little bit right now, but about like the One Piece being a comic book and things like that. Guys, go watch his theory. It's amazing. But like I love that, and it's that same mindset that you're in right now, Bex, where it's like we're gonna be laughing when we get to laugh tell, we're gonna laugh. Like it's a comedy. It's not, while there are dramatic moments and the depth of the story is insane, it is an epic comedy on by all fronts. It's an epic in general because of the drama and the comedy blended.
and
I know
so
I always like this idea that maybe everyone would laugh like Roger, like the fans. But I'm wondering if, because Luffy is such a particular character, there's something about arriving to laugh that his first reaction might be like the opposite of Roger's face. A first hint of disappointment.
I think that
Will in the chat said, "Vex, did you laugh at Kuma's backstory?"
at parts of it, no, that's the thing though, is that no, like it's really it adds weight to the moments where we get to laugh, because there is true depth to the moments that are realer than that and that we can't always laugh through. But when we get those moments where we can laugh, and I think that's what Oda's really doing a good job of setting up right now, is that there is a lot of gravity to so many of these situations, and so many, the stakes are high, we are invested in things like that. So when we finally get to the point where we can all cut loose and laugh, it will mean that much more.
Yeah.
Remember what Rayleigh said, is that he had never cried and laughed and drank so much. And so like I think that that's the message that we're all working towards. We got another super chat from Mr. Bushido 56 with €5. Said, thoughts on Joyboy Theory's idea the Vegapunk's brain is taken by the elders and acts as a Trojan horse who will sabotage the world government from inside to revenge Bonnie who died. Okay, well, except for that last part, it sounds pretty interesting. This is a good pivot point though. We've talked a lot about 1118, and it seems now we unless anybody else has anything they want to bring up, we can move to 1118 and beyond. Like what's next to come from the story. And I think that I definitely think that the Punk Records is the actual sentient form, like the true form of Vegapunk, and that the Stella is just another satellite. And he wasn't I don't know, maybe I'm coping, I'm probably coping, but like I think it would be really cool if, because his death didn't get like as much of the focus as I kind of thought it was, even though that panel did go really hard. I thought we were going to get more of an elaboration on it and whatnot. And they are still carrying around like the Stella body, like Atlas just mentioned it in this chapter, so I think that it's really interesting to speculate, but if that brain is still able to grow and function and whatnot, it's alive. It's a sentient thing. I think that is the real Vegapunk, and that the Stella body was just another decoy. What do y'all think?
No, I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. It could. We know that this whole thing started as a murder mystery. So usually murder mysteries, there's like 20 decoys throughout the arc. So
yeah,
just whenever you think that the main person's actually dead, they come back, and then they actually die.
Yeah.
And I was talking with some individuals about like it's so crazy to think about like the fact that like with like I'm convinced that they don't necessarily want York. They're just like whatever way we can access like Punk Records would be useful. So I think that it's gonna be like he wants to share. Vegapunk's dream is he wants to share like free knowledge with all of the world and things like that, which would obviously be counterintuitive for their erasure agenda. But I think it would be really interesting if through some other we've seen that some of them exhibit like a voice of all things type of thing, like whenever they were like seeking for like life forms and like scanning like for auras and stuff like that. Like I think it's really interesting if they were to find a way outside of just using one of the satellites to tap into the brain, but if the brain was only feeding it like information that like it wanted to feed them, and I think that like it could be really cool, and I could see Vegapunk still being like a prominent figure, even though it's like less of a mouthpiece and more of just like a character, like a I don't know, like I feel like this would be like on par with like Big News Morgans or like an Ancient Weapon, with like the level of influence that it could still have in the story. Punk Records is like, it's insane to think about what could still go down with it. So it's really cool to see other theorists and other people in the community bringing up the significance of Punk Records still. And I'm really excited to see how that goes. Do you guys think that Lilith and Atlas both survive?
I think. Oh, sorry. I think Atlas is gonna pass, and Lilith will survive.
Same.
Lilith was the first Straw Hat, or the first one to meet the Straw Hats. I feel like it would
Not
be very.
true. They were both the first.
Both of them. They met the two sets.
Oh yeah.
They were both
Yeah,
the
okay,
first.
you're right.
I have
What
to
about
answer.
Edison?
Oh,
What
sorry.
about Edison? Didn't Edison disconnect from Punk Records and they think he's gone when he's not?
That's what a lot of people are saying, is they think he disconnected himself because he was able to sustain himself after landing down there from the barrier and to extend the clouds, and he was like
Yeah.
on his last legs, but he might have just disconnected himself and is still alive in there.
I think that would be
So
really
maybe
cool.
Kaku is
additional
carrying him
support.
out. Maybe Kaku is carrying him out to repay the favor for letting her save his life.
So
I think it's interesting.
Someone called me out in the chat, so I just want to answer to Henry Cavill. He said, "I heard Bonnie tried to age up Cube, but it didn't work because he's prehistoric already. Can you confirm or deny Cube?" How can you mute? How can you permanently ban someone from the chat? I'm just kidding. No, it didn't work, unfortunately. Sorry, I saw
Crazy.
that comment. I had to respond to it.
So referring to the Atlas and Lilith, kind of question that was posed, Mr. Bushido 56 with another €2 said, York unalives in the explosion ? Lilith, Atlas kidnapped. I don't know if they're gonna be kidnapped. I don't think that's the way that it's gonna go down. Like specifically, they were the first two that the Straw Hats met. Like, I think it was Jinbei, Chopper, Luffy, and Bonnie all met up with Atlas, and Atlas gave Luffy food. That means something in this story, and I could see them potentially sailing away. Like I've heard a lot of the Lilith, like when we had Chestnut on, Chestnut and Hime. I know Chestnut was really big about Lilith being, and then like I think Middleway was as well, and like I could see, I understand why a lot of people are thinking Lilith also, but I'm still on the Atlas train. Like I think it'd be really, really interesting. Maybe both. Like I could see both. I don't see a reason why both can't exist, especially because they were both the first. But I'm really on board with like Lilith, like maybe serving her own purpose, and Atlas maybe sticking around for a bit. I don't know. Like I don't think we need them to be written out of the story, but they are huge like problems for the world government on the par with like Robin. So there'd be people who would be sought out by a lot of other pirate crews as well as, so it's whatever happens to them, I hope they're fine, but it's not going to be an easy life, if either of them do get off the island.
Yeah, Zingy, I agree. I'm still hoping Pythagoras is alive.
Willa P, baby.
By the way,
Yeah, Willa P.
Jose is crazy for saying that. He said, "I think Lilith is going to die unalive because Luffy isn't protecting her. Zoro and Jinbei are." Dude, you're so
That's
so wrong for saying that.
crazy. We got another super chat from some guy named Kube. I don't know. You want to, Cube? I'm gonna let you read that
I'll read
one.
it. I'll read it. Actually, I'll read it this time. So his name is Kube, apparently, of the Rouge Sea. Huge fan of y'all. Huge fan of y'all. What do you guys think of the Marines' next move of Vegapunk's message? You think many will defect? If so, got any ideas on who?
I think we're gonna have to see an influx of sword members. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
As for
Smoker.
who, I don't know. It
Smoker.
feels like
I need Smoker. Smoker, be the man you really are. Time to defect. Go join Sword fully.
I don't know if like Sword. I don't. Okay. So I don't think that Sword is as unified as a lot of people think. Like Doll, was Doll confirmed as a member of Sword or no?
No, she didn't get the other box. She
Okay.
just had her vice admiral. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. Like we haven't gotten too much to go off of. I do love the Smoker agenda though. I've been saying that for a while. I think that he'll see Dragon and or Saul in the upcoming arcs, and that will be all he needs to solidify the fact that he will also defect, like the two of them have. Like I kind of want it to be Saul, but a lot of people put Dragon in my mind as well, and I kind of like that as well. Just because we've seen the two of them in the same place before, and it would be really interesting interaction, and like it would be a really, like, I think maybe a really compelling, you know, monologue from Dragon, which we've gotten one of in the ASL flashbacks in Goa Kingdom, who is trying to like inspire the revolt and stuff like that. Like, but I really want it to be like a Saul moment, because that's literally his nickname was Saul the Defector, you know? So I think that would be freaking sweet too.
Yo, Jose in the chat said Bonnie, Atlas, Doll, and Bluegrass all coming to Elbaf as our kids. And you saying that, I was like, yo, Doll would actually meet up with Saul and could actually get the conversation from him about why he left the Marines.
And that's her previous superior officer.
Yeah, years ago.
That could be interesting. Yeah, like I think that all of the Marines here that are actually getting away from Egghead, I think are going to have a tough time staying a Marine. That's for sure. I am still on the train that Kizaru is going to self-sacrifice. I don't think he will like officially become like a Straw Hat ally or like leave the Marines or anything like that, like, or like step down as an admiral Kuzan style or anything like that. I think that he will, it's just too much trouble, and he's just gonna be like, I've lived a good life, and he is. I think that, like, I don't know. It makes so much sense to me, and I've been on that since literally before we even knew we were going to Egghead. I've spoken blue in the face about it at this point, but I think that Kizaru will not retire. I don't think he will necessarily like switch sides. I think he will go out sacrificing himself for
basically
them.
Majin Vegeta in against Buu.
Yeah,
the only,
but I mean,
basically.
that's the thing is Majin Vegeta didn't end up fully destroying Buu. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
when you said that, isn't Egghead like mostly just light energy around as well?
I know the pacifistas were modeled after his laser technology, and so I mean, and like with the physical holograms, that was probably also so. Like, there's a lot of Kizaru backstory centered around Vegapunk and Sentomaru. So I mean, yeah, it's easy to assume.
If he sacrificed himself, it really fits thematically with how the other two admirals that we were originally introduced turned out as well. Sakazuki is clearly like a bloodlusted dude. Like, everyone was like, stop, and he's like, no, I'm still gonna kill Luffy. Like, this, I don't know why you're telling me to stop, kind of thing. And then Aokiji was somewhere in the middle, where he just kind of let the Straw Hats go to see what they would do. And then for Kizaru to fully help the Straw Hats like that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah,
whether it be betraying or sacrificing himself, like it's. Yeah, like you said, yeah, I can agree with the sentiment that I've been blue in the face more times than not talking about this before.
He's the yellow monkey.
It's such a logical next step.
Yeah, he's the yellow monkey, and he has the light fruit, like the Pika, like kind of similar to the sun god fruit, the Nika, and things like that. Like they like, I don't know. It's really interesting. Like I could see it happening, and I think it would be like such an impactful moment if we were to get that, and like a lot, like before we ever knew like what the actual headlines were and stuff like that. Like I was so certain that it was going to be like that, like an admiral is defeated, and that they painted it as Luffy defeated him, but really he sacrificed himself for Luffy. But obviously they would never print that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Zingy in the chat said Kizaru making a light bridge like Kuzan did with Robin. That would be insane. Like a light path to protect them getting off the island so they could get to Elbaf. Ooh.
Yeah, because, I mean, yeah,
I like that.
because it would fit.
Without-
What Lucas said, it would fit because Akainu is on one extreme and Kuzan is the other extreme. Akainu stays whatsoever in the Marines whatsoever. Aokiji left the Marines. Maybe Kizaru is the middle point. He's so conflicted that at the last second he takes the right decision, but never had the stones to actually leave the Marines. You know, he's
Let's-
like between both.
Let's literally look at their forms of justice. Like there is
Yeah.
like there's like lazy justice, which is Kuzan, and then there's whatever what was Akainu's is like Like,
absolute. Akainu is absolute.
okay, and then we have Kizaru who's
I thought you said
uncertain.
Kuzan, my bad.
But
Yeah,
Kizaru's uncertain justice, which makes the most sense for him to be kind of like, I don't know. I think it's really something. And knowing the backstory that Garp and Kuzan had as well makes me wonder like where Kizaru was in all of that, and like how many other I don't know. I just like he's such an interesting character, and there's been such an up and down on Kizaru's tux this whole arc. I think that would be like the way for it to be the most impactful for me, like with everything that's been set up, like 3-Day put in the chat.
Oh,
He did the NIKA dance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Jose in the chat said that light bridge to Elbath could be like that bridge to Asgard in the mythology, right?
What's the Bifrost?
The Bifrost.
yeah.
Yeah, Bifrost.
The Bifrost, yeah.
Kizaru makes a light bridge. It makes a
Yeah.
rainbow though, in his awakening.
I'm just got the Rainbow Road song stuck in my head now from Mario Kart Double Dash.
So I'm gonna drop this in the chat because I think it's really relevant in terms of Kizaru's justice, with it being uncertain justice. Because the thing called justice changes its shape depending on where you stand. Kuzan on justice to Jaguar D-Sol.
Also, fun fact: Oda revealed in SBS, Kuzan had a sense of justice before you introduced to him. Mostly before Ohara, he used to have a fiery hot justice at a certain event, and turned into a lazy justice. So
It went
fits what they're doing, saying.
it went from blazing justice to lazy justice, which is really
Yeah,
funny.
exactly.
I love that Oda's able to like kind of make puns like that in multiple languages. Like,
Yes.
So it fits what Dill is saying right now, or what he saying the proof he explained actually justice.
yeah.
That's I'm curious on why, and Oda I think is revealed in SBS maybe that Garp is the one Marine that we know, at least until now, no sense of justice was actually introduced, which is interesting with Garp of all people.
Yeah, it is really wild. One thing like I need to put out there though is no matter what happens in the next 8 chapters, I just need us to stay on Egghead, because then I can cross that off my bingo card, because I said 12 chapters ago that we'd be getting at least 20 more chapters of Egghead, and it looks like we are about to leave, and no. I think we need to stay here. There's still a lot of shit that needs to go down. Like 8 more chapters of Egghead at least, guys. Let's manifest that for my bingo card, please. Because it's looking pretty all right. Like, you know, I'm making some progress, but that would be huge. I also wasn't accounting for this many Oda breaks, but you know, you get what you get. You know.
Yeah. I mean, we still have one extra chapter before the break week, which. I'm saying this with those last 2 chapters, I'm very excited and scared at the same time for my heart.
I mean, there's no way we're just sailing away right now, though, right? Like they're obviously they're setting up like one last bout, and
yeah, cliffhanger most likely as well.
Yeah, like we're not just gonna like pop out 2 warriors standing on business and then leave. Like so, we can all assume there's definitely gonna be more than one more chapter here on Egghead. What are you guys thinking? I need 8 more.
I'm thinking, at least I think 2 more tops. I think this is going to be like the pinnacle of it. Yeah, 2-3 more tops.
Come on, man.
My last prediction was that it was 5, and that was 2 chapters ago. So it's 3 more chapters until we're out of like the Egghead immediate area, and we're traveling to the next island. So we're getting like around the world shit. But
now you have to account
and all that.
You have to account for it right now, though, Dill. That's why I said 3 chapters, is because there is going to be a fight between this Mars and the 2 NIKAs right now. Like, We're gonna get a
Yeah.
little bit on that.
I can
Yeah.
I
see
had said 5,
3.
and then it's been 2 chapters, so it's 3 now.
Let's go.
Yeah, for me it's 3 or 4 chapters. With how those two.
That's at 11:21.
I was gonna say with how, because we said something like a week and a half ago about how many chapters we think, but since then those last 2 chapters have been moving so rapidly in events that I think 3 or 4 chapters left, maybe,
Yeah.
to set up this last thing. If we need any more thing with the Vegapunks, if is what's gonna happen with the satellites and stuff like that with punk records, we still need to get that closed.
I don't know. The way that I see it is
Yeah.
there's going to be like a fight between, like, Luffy has like a formula when it comes to taking on like big bads and stuff like that. Normally it's like lose, draw, win. And so him not being able to really affect Saturn at first whatsoever, and then him absolutely like clapping him literally, but like Saturn still be like, I think that there needs to be like the full get back, and we're gonna pump it up into like double gear 5 right now, and that they will absolutely mess with all of the Gorosei, not just Mars. And I think that in the middle of all of that, the Iron Giant is going to resurface, and that will be like a commencing of the message, but it'll be after we've lost a bit of the message itself. And so I think that I think we're gonna get 8 more chapters, and it's not just because of my bingo card, guys, but that is a bit of it. But I think there's a
lot of it is
there's a lot more that needs to happen here. We still haven't seen the Blackbeard pirates get off of Egghead. We still don't know what's going on with Lucci and Kaku and Stussy, and the Stussy stuff that's huge. Like whatever that, like I think that like there's so much other things that could potentially pay off from this before we just end up leaving. And I don't know, like I feel like we're not done here at Egghead. I think we're close, absolutely. I just don't think we're done here yet.
Yeah, honestly, that you brought it up, I really want to see where we're going to go with Stussy, because Stussy is getting Monet vibe from Punk Hazard, the way she's talking.
Bruh, they're both top 5.
Yeah.
Let me just say that right now. But
Because don't forget, in Punk Hazard,
I think the whole community is down bad for Stussy.
Oh, definitely. Did you see those
Rightfully
anime?
so.
Did you guys see those anime episodes?
yes, I did.
Yes, I did, Cube. Yes, I did. A couple times, you could say.
Yeah.
There you
But I was
go.
gonna say, just a reminder, in Punk Hazard, both Virgo and Monet
yo, Dill.
pick the bucket. It could be that it's Kizaru and Stussy.
Oh man. Oh wow, that is crazy, because
Dude,
that is
the Virgo fucking with Kizaru. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
That is
a
huge.
vice admiral, obviously. A vice admiral, obviously, it's not an admiral, but still,
well, the inversion there is that he had full body armament. He was the first instance of full
And he
body
wore
armament we
sunglasses all the
saw.
time.
And so like
Yeah.
with full body armament is where you make your entire form like rock solid and extremely durable. And the inversion of that is making your entire body like
light.
intangible.
And think about it, Kizaru is like very straight and narrow, like nicely clean, but extremely unfocused. He's not always there. Virgo is the opposite. He is always there mentally, but always unfocused on how he looks with the food on his face all the time. Opposite of Kizaru.
God.
So it could be like Kizaru and Stussy. Yeah, could be both of them. Could be both of them that don't survive Egghead. Both Kizaru and Stussy.
No, Stussy.
I know.
Stussy needs to.
I know Stussy. I know, I
Unless they
really like
have-
Stussy.
Unless they got like a lab somewhere else where they got like 500 Stussies like in like a tube, like Sanji style or something like that. I don't know. Like I want her to live. I really do. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's a crazy connection.
I want to, and also I'd like to at least get a name for her fruit or whatever those wings were, because that was so interesting. Nothing since then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Zoan
most
model
people
Bat of the Apocalypse.
are assuming that it's a mythical Zoan like model vampire bat, which is actually a fruit that is something that is in the tertiary non-canon things. Like there's Patrick Redfield had it like and so I don't know. Like I don't know if it's that, but
I don't think it's a fruit. If I'm being honest, I don't think it's fruit. I think it's genetic manipulation.
literally showed us a fruit, but like I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cover story of
The cover story.
Yeah.
Oh,
you saw
you
them.
right,
saw
you
the
right,
arm
you
holding that
right.
devil fruit.
Yeah, it literally
Yeah.
showed us a fruit, but I mean maybe. Hey, welcome to the last arc, Dill.
Yeah, it had bat wings or something. I think I remember on the fruit. That's why we were able to really tell that it might most likely be Stassi's fruit.
Yeah, I got an email saying that my shit was not updating, so I had to make sure.
It is.
Yeah, I need to reread the cover stories real bad.
It is possible that it's not a devil fruit because it said that she was the first successful clone and he was still holding the devil fruit. So maybe they extract it, like, because it's like, think about like Saturn's experiment with Bonnie, is that like he was trying to extract from the devil fruit and be able to give it to somebody and still have the devil fruit hold its potency, is what I'm assuming, like, or maybe falsely remembering, but like that's what I think. Like that would be huge. So it's like green blood, like, but before we got to that point,
all Saturn stuff is like the culmination of all the stuff Vegapunk had worked on from then, and then had been able to give the world government his findings, be like, yo, this is all the stuff that I've come across and that I've done. And then Saturn was like, yo, hold on, let's actually try some of this stuff real quick.
Yeah. I'm still convinced. I think Saturn is not a bad scientist, but he had some issues or some stuff. And I think when the Mads got arrested 30 years ago, he took the finding for himself, got Vegapunk to work with him, because he seems to be doing it after the Mads. Whatever he's doing in research is always after the Mads.
So Yanji, I believe, is the green hair one, right?
yes.
Yeah.
All right, so he was the one who told us about the lineage factor whenever we were introduced to the Germa family. He also told us that the world government arrested Vegapunk and dissolved Mads.
Yeah, makes sense.
So maybe it was they arrested him, made him give them all of his research in exchange for him being able to get out. And the after clause of that is you have to work with us on the things that we tell you you can.
I mean, I think that it's more like Vegapunk was confined and he was butting heads with his peers and he didn't have enough resources. That's something that we've seen established in his backstory was a major concern of his, and that he went with the world government because of their resources. And I think that it all started when he met with them upon like earning the Ibel Peace Prize. That cover story was important for a reason, because I feel like that is when Vegapunk decided and agreed with them, I will come work for you in exchange for your resources and for you to like, I'll dissolve Mads, like, or like at least leave it, and in exchange, you know, you don't like charge me for any of the probable crimes that I might have committed like outside of it or something like that. I don't know, like, but like resources are the only thing he was really concerned with back then.
In that cover story, he looked happy with the Gorosei and with Dragon. He didn't seem like he was upset going back to world government. And we've seen York do something very similar to what Vex is saying. So if York naturally did betray the other satellites, could it be that maybe the original Vegapunk did the same thing to the Mads? Snitch on them? You know, he leaked their location, those kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, they would have known about Germa because
it was at that time it was lineage factor. That's what they had cracked the case on. So that's what I think is what the world government was like, hey, come work for us, give us your research, and we won't arrest you.
So like Vegapunk and Caesar were both individuals who went to work for the world government. Judge and Queen did not. And so we know that Judge was still accepted within, like, wasn't he like literally like a reverie attendant up until the events
I think it was explained in Whole Cake that, well, I don't know which arc, but they did explain that because of his status, exempted from persecution.
Yeah, so the only one they would have the only one they would have hunted down would have been Queen, because the others just
Yeah.
came to work for them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like they chose the no me user and the Gasu no me user because of Vegapunk's knowledge of the stuff that he had gained, but also I think, this is my personal headcanon coming through, I think Caesar was the main key to them discovering the lineage factor.
Yeah, his root would explain
Well,
it.
it specifically, it said Judge was the one who made the breakthrough.
Yeah, like it said, because it was the Germa explaining it to us. But if Judge had taken that information from Caesar and Vegapunk, then he would be producing stuff as if it was his own.
I mean, maybe using Caesar as a tool, but I don't think that, because Caesar was not able to do anywhere near like what Vegapunk was able to do when it came to Devil Fruit recreation and things like that. So I don't see Caesar being integral other than just his Devil Fruit powers, but his mind is not at the point where, even with the full resources of the world government and getting resources from a Yonko to Yonko, this guy was still not able to, like, I don't think that it's specifically maybe through the use of his Devil Fruit, but he is not the person who like figured it out.
Yeah.
Like Judge is definitely the one who figured it out.
Yeah, my thing is I think Vegapunk and Judge are miles away better scientists than Caesar Clown in some department, and I think the one thing they needed Caesar Clown for is not just his fruit. Even think about it, they could have found, if they found the fruit, they could have get 21. Because he still has that scientific mind, I think he's also a living host who knows to use effectively his fruit. Like imagine someone else had it, they need certain stuff, maybe that person won't be able to do it. You know, we've seen limitation with certain Delphoid users. Was foreshadowed in Fisherman Island.
Someone getting a fruit and being at dormant stage in it, and getting a fruit and being at active or proficient with it.
Yeah,
It's just
so maybe
sometimes you resonate with the fruit like that to be able to use it at that level.
So it could be that they didn't need him for the science aspect, but they needed someone who could actually use the fruit in the way they needed it to do the research. They're like a guinea pig in a way. It's messed up, but
Yeah, it's really wild. I think that, again, just to like, this is all kind of to serve the point that I think that there's still way more with the Neomads and Stussy like side story here that we have not gotten nearly enough on. I'd feel weird leaving Egghead without it, you know.
Well, so that's the thing, is that if there's at least one of the Vegapunks that stays with the crew, that can still be explained outside of Egghead.
I feel, yeah, it's just if it happens posthumously because Stussy got unalived, I don't see a point in it happening at all. Is my main thing. Also, she's her, so like I don't want her to, like, I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot more that needs to happen on this arc still. Even though it's like an arc where like the most has happened, I don't see us wrapping up and leaving in like 2 chapters or 3 chapters. It seems like
my
it.
thing is like us leaving the area is why I have that number for it, because I still think for the next 20 or 30 chapters, while we're on the way to the next island, the world's going to be reacting. We're still going to be getting lore drops and everything like that, but they're going to be out of Egghead vicinity and more than likely sailing away from dangerous waters, as opposed to staying in the area for the next 10-15 chapters and getting all the world lore drops and more Vegapunk lore drops during that time. I think it's going to be during the retreat phase and like recouping for the next mission, essentially.
Yeah. So I mean, Mars has to be dealt with then, like right now, like right here and right now, because he's able to fly. So like there is no, this will be like another whole cake, like a hot exit, you know, like where they came screaming into Wano because they were being chased the entire time. Like this would be like, unless they like absolutely like completely incapacitate or unalive one of these Gorosei, specifically the one that can fly, there is no sailing away to safer waters. They are going to be, there's hot pursuit like on the line right now. So it's do we think they're gonna pack up a whole Gorosei in like 2 chapters?
Well, So that's the thing is like we have the point of them already trying to work out how to get away through their regeneration and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be the crucial one is Mars, and in that moment they find out the way that they can actually take damage,
Yeah.
and it's going to be one of his wings gets clipped and he can't finish flying to chase them.
Yeah, but
There's-
we've seen they have regenerative abilities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like that's the point where they have discovered the source of what can actually harm them. They send out a slash at Mars, and he actually takes the damage and can't regenerate it.
There's
I
also
feel
another
like-
candidate.
Go
Two
ahead.
candidates. Esber or Kuma, if Bonnie's on the ship. They have an
Yeah.
ability that they can make them leave. It's extremely. We saw how fast it is. So if the Giants are holding off Mars for long enough for Esber or Kuma, like Kuma and his last want to protect his daughter who's on the ship, sends the ship that they're on away. You just have to hold him long enough. He cannot chase them because the Kuma's fruit moves very fast.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. Is that we know that Kuma is no longer like actively following a normal life, quote unquote, for the simple terms of he's almost reactivated in times of Bonnie being in danger. I could see it being that Bonnie is in danger one last time, and it's Kuma is the one to hit Mars.
It'd be interesting. I think that the Kuma Saturn setup is a lot bigger, and so like when it comes to Mars specifically, I think that I don't know, like with him being like the one that can fly and that being like the most crucial detail, I think that what Doran is saying in the chat is like kind of along the lines that I was like up until recently, like when the Giants had a giant hole punched in the side of their like in their broadside. I was like, oh man, these guys aren't leaving the island, so they're probably going to like stay here and run like diversion tactics and try to keep the Gorosei at bay until the Straw Hats can get to a safe enough distance away. And I still kind of, a part of me still feels like maybe Oimo and Kashi, maybe the whole fleet, or maybe just Dory and Brogy or something like that. Like I don't know. Somebody here has to like, and like obviously it could be Kizaru, like I've been saying as well, but like I think that the Saturn setup on specific figures is a little bit more pivotal than like just Gorosei in general. Like I think there's just more to Saturn specifically with Kuma because of what we've been shown in his flashback. So I don't know if that's gonna be what takes out Mars. You know what I mean?
Yes. Sorry, I ain't even gonna lie, guys. I've been zoned out for the past like 15 minutes reading cover stories.
No, so I'm definitely going back and reading last chapter.
Lock in,
'Cause
Lucas. Lock
The
in.
way it
Yeah, my
seems
bad.
to me,
My bad.
the way it seems to me is that there's multiple of the Elbath ships. Because remember, Nostro cut the figurehead off of one of them, but on another one, there's still a figurehead on it. And they're only on one side of the ship, not on the back side.
Well, when it was first approaching, didn't it say it was like one ship?
Well, it just said they have arrived, the new giant pirates, because it was the Marines that were going to take out the ship of Egghead escapees was the one that got sunken, and they were like, yo, we gotta let Kizaru know that they're coming. And then the next chapter, it was the reveal that it was the new giant pirates, and then in the following chapter, we saw them run aboard Egghead Island proper.
Yeah, it would make sense if it was multiple ships, but like I don't know, like that was just like something that reminded me of the way that I was already thinking that the Giants would kind of like behave, as like they're like, we'll deal with them, y'all get the Elbath, like we'll meet you there, like
Yeah.
like Jinbei like holding off like Big Mom, or trying to hold off and like Big Mom at the end of Whole Cake. Like this is a hot exit. This is like there's no easy way of this exit making sense right now, with Edison like having to potentially, you know, sacrifice himself, and he was just like, I'm not gonna die right now, like I have to do more, I have to make sure the Straw Hats escape and stuff. I feel like that's like the it's been established like this is not gonna be easy, and I'm wondering what else needs to happen. Like obviously Mars is the biggest hurdle, but like what else still needs to happen before we can actually leave Egghead? And I'm hoping it takes about 8 chapters. At least.
I keep rereading these like 2 pages before, or the page before the Bonnie NIKA reveal, right? I think chat was right earlier. I think the sea is dancing to the drums of liberation.
I think he rubberized the fucking sea, bro.
Yeah, man. Like
it correlates with his stomach being full.
Yeah, and then the giant, because the giants are dancing too. They hear the drums of liberation.
And also about the shot escaping, when Vex was talking, actually, if you think of Marineford, how the Luffy was able to escape with law because of an admiral who iced the water, and they can shoot at the submarine. Kuzan. What if this time it's Kizaru? Kuzan was the reason why they couldn't shoot at the submarine.
It's insane. That's actually
another
insane.
Another admiral maybe will help out the Straw Hats as they escape. I mean, Luffy as he escapes.
Nah, if we're talking about Marineford parallels, Shanks is just gonna show up and block a shot from Mars and be like, "This is over." No. Dude, can y'all imagine?
No, instead of Shanks, Garling shows up.
Oh,
I came here to stop this war. To continue this war. I came here to continue this war.
Oh my goodness! But
I am here to back up the Gorosei.
Wild. I think like it's. My main concern also is like, how do the Blackbeard pirates get off of this island right now? Because they still, like they mentioned, like I'm not able to teleport us off island. So their ship is somewhere, and maybe they already did get off island, but they're still in the area. You know what I mean? Like, and that's crazy.
I mean,
to think about as well.
A tiny boat that is flying the Blackbeard flag.
I mean, think about it. They're now team up with a guy who literally has a bottomless pit with his fruit. I mean, we don't know how deep is the swamp, the Numa Numa no Mi, so maybe they're, hiding away through him.
Numa Numa, yay.
I don't know. I like, have we ever seen him store a living being in it?
Living being still not, but the moment he took out that cannon, I said, "Whoa, dude, what's the size?"
Yeah, I get that, but like,
human. I know.
Wasn't he gonna capture a mermaid in his swamp?
I don't know. Like that's why I'm unsure. I'm not remembering like if he's ever put like a living being in there. You know what I mean? It'd be pretty wild.
I haven't seen him do it, but I swear that I remember that was one of his intentions for going to Fishman Island, other than ending up on the wrong ship. But it was, he wanted to go there to capture a mermaid.
There can't be a lot of oxygen in there. It's like trying to live in a bag of holding or something. Like I don't like that's pretty crazy. Like
no, actually he has. Look at the wiki to everything he's done. He's actually stored creatures alive when they were in the swamp.
Wild.
Were they pulled out alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
He can keep creatures alive when they are in his swamp, which is crazy.
So it was giving me turbo vibes,
Stop.
Anyways.
Oh my god, dude.
God.
Stop. Bro. Dill. This isn't the Richard Gere hour. Like, chill, dude.
What has happened to this stream
in
5 seconds?
For people to find out about it. You told us the people's name.
That is wild.
And Doron actually doubled down. He says that he's actually captured Fishman Island, captured mermaids, captured and then released them. I forgot about that.
That is wild.
So
yeah,
possible.
I mean, I guess like we're on that.
Some of those fruits, the Yami and the Numa, they have to explain how like how deep is their territory through their fruit, because that's like. That could be a whole parallel, like it could be similar to the mirror fruit, actually.
Well, I see it more like the castle fruit,
Oh yeah, or the castle, yeah. One of that creates a domain inside them, an actual domain where they could breathe inside it.
Domain expansion.
Castle man.
Yeah, so I hate to do it, guys, but I am gonna have to go in like a couple minutes. So any closing thoughts, anything else anyone wanted to bring up, anything in the chat we wanted to address before we go,
Uh,
now
Go
is the
read the
time.
cover stories. A lot
Oh
of
my-
spicy stuff in there.
You do realize there's a cover story for each chapter, so there's like over 1,000 cover stories. You have to be specific. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
there's individual cover arts, and then there's cover stories, which
Cover
are different.
stories,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
it's
true.
very different.
But yeah, I mean, for sure, there's a great spot for colored cover stories online. If you just Google that, yar har har, be a pirate. But no, support the officials as well, whatever they release. I'm curious to see if anything is going to be translated differently in the officials from what we got in the scans, like and how close that'll be, and if it changes like our thoughts. So really keen to see what comes next, and can't wait to check out the officials. I will probably be on SSJ8 Cody's read through, where he reads the One Piece and typically JJK chapters on his Twitch channel. If you guys want to catch me there this Sunday and the foreseeable Sundays that I'm able to attend, Cody was the homie, and actually just like literally last night we had like a 6-hour stream where I got caught up with JJK. He read JJK to me, and so that was huge. And so I'm going to be a part of his Sunday reactions and stuff like that. So I'll be checking out the officials then when they drop. And then when we're not on break week, I will be current with JJK moving forward, which is huge. I'm also a part of TLA Gaming. We're taking a break week, I think, this week because we already did, because Tree is out of town. He's doing a whole bunch of real life stuff, but we should be getting back to the swing of things and continuing Trails the Sky SC, the second chapter. Huge, can't wait for that. And you can also always catch me every Tuesday doing One Piece D&D on my channel, link in the description. We've got group 2 of the One Piece D&D TLA. Yeah. The Scarlet Pirates. Catch us there. It's a whole lot of fun, and then it's always fun being on here and talking about chapters with you guys. So huge. And then Lucas, I know you've got a couple things, right? You've got your Rambling Addiction and Group 14. Tell the folks about what's going on.
So next week's Rambling Addiction episode will be going back to Doctor Who. I'm very nervous because last time the Doctor Who fan base was not too happy with what I had to say about the episode Boom. And Thursday, though, we'll see the return of the Sakura Pirates Group 14 Last Arc D&D. We'll be going live there at 3 p.m. So make sure you show up and hunker down with the crew.
Huge. And then Cube, I understand you have a podcast that we talked about at the beginning. You want to tell the folks about it again before we close out?
Guys,
Yeah, who was the guest on the last episode?
Yeah, so guys, listen, we have Straw Hat Lucas who showed up to say nothing. So go check out this week's podcast. It's a fire podcast, honestly. Nothing happened, but you have to be there to understand what I mean by that. Honestly, guys, don't waste the time. You'll see Lucas spitting nothing. Honestly,
And
he's
then,
cooking nothing.
Who else is on that? I know we got some friends of the channel also
we've got
on that.
Tainted Marv. We've got Tainted Marv, Kusaland, the Fables of Kusaland Theories, and Star Knight Andy Legs.
Hell yeah. Goats.
Yeah.
Absolute goats. That's hype. And then last but not least, I know, Dill, you have a session tonight to tell the folks about. What's going on with that? Where can they find you?
So first of all, of course, always you can find me on Tuesdays over at vexyz the Lurking Legend channel for Group 2 solos, 8 p.m. EST. Yes, that is correct. Come check us out and watch us. We got Captain Scarlet and her band of misfits. And yeah, tonight over on Dire Regulus' channel in about an hour and I'll say about 6 minutes, probably closer to like an hour and 15 minutes, we'll be going live for session 50 of the Blottos, where we're going to be having some games, going to ask some crew questions, going to ask some DM questions. Come down and ask our DM questions. He'll love it, And as Lucas said earlier in the stream, he wants to see everyone in the TLA community in that stream tonight. So I'm going to be watching the chat. I know they'll be watching the chat. Well, no, But come out, show some support for the Blottos, session 50. Yeah.
50 is huge. That is crazy. Major shout out to group 3. Much love for group 3. I will definitely try my best to be there. We have had so much fun spitting with you guys. Chat, you're goated. If you guys are checking this out in the future, catching the VOD, we love you as well. Make sure you guys have liked the stream. Check out all the links in the description for links to everything that we've got going on. You can catch Lucas's channel there, my channel there, and a TLA Discord link if you want to be a part of the discussion. As the chapter drops, you can hop in the Discord. We're always in there cooking, and we do some community streams from time to time, so maybe you can be on the next one. So it's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. We have been the Last Art crew, and that's all we got for you today, folks. We are signing off. Y'all take it easy. Have a wonderful rest of your day.